Hello guys, today I'll be talking about 10 bands who have never released a bad album. Now of course this is just my opinion, but anyways, let's go ahead and dive into these bands, and this is no specific order or anything, but first band I want to talk about is Deftones. Now with this band, yeah, it's clear that some albums are better than others, which you can also say about any other band too, and yeah, I think they're definitely a great band. Now, their weakest, in my opinion, are maybe Gore and Self-Titled and maybe Saturday Night Wrist, but even those albums are pretty good, to be honest. Now, I know some fans don't like Gore, but I like that album. It does have its share of highlights like Doomed User and Prayers, Triangles, and many other songs. But anyways, the next band I want to talk about is Rammstein. Now, this band, they never really strayed too much from their overall sound. I mean, the farthest they've ever strayed is from the albums like, well, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's like Rise. I probably said it incorrectly, but it's that album and Rosenrot. But yeah, those definitely a great band. I actually got into them this year, and I've been digging them a lot lately. But anyways, the next band I want to talk about is Trivium. Now I know some fans don't like The Crusade and Silence in the Snow and even Vengeance Falls, but I personally dig those albums. I mean, when Silence in the Snow came out, I instantly dug it, and I still dig it today. I still go back to some songs from that album, actually. But yeah, Trivium, definitely a great band, one of my favorites from the metalcore genre. But the next band I want to talk about is Led Zeppelin. Now, some people don't like In Through the Outdoor, and I can understand why, especially with songs like Hot Dog and a few others, but I like that album. Not their best, it is one of their weaker albums, but I'd still consider it a good album. And some people also don't like Presence, but actually, I think that album is pretty underrated. I dig that album, especially with songs like Achilles' Last Stand, Nobody's Fault But Mine, and T for One, which is a pretty underrated song. But Led Zeppelin, definitely a band I wanted to mention here. But the next band I want to talk about is Killswitch Engage, one of the more consistent bands of the metalcore genre. They definitely have their own lane in terms of sound. They just stick to their own sound. They don't stray too much from their roots, and I'm all for it. I'm cool with it. Now, of course, I would be interested in hearing them or seeing them experiment more with other subgenres of metal, like getting a little bit of prog in there, maybe even death metal, just to see how interesting that could sound. But yeah, Killswitch Engage, definitely a great band. But the next band I want to talk about is Red. Now, some fans don't like Gone and Release the Panic, but even those albums I do like. I think they're pretty good albums, but they are their weakest in my opinion. But either way, still great albums. But Red, definitely a great band, and out of the Christian bands I listen to, this one's probably my favorite. But next, the band I want to talk about is Rush, and now it's pretty incredible that they can release 19 or 20 albums and somehow not create a bad album. Now I know some fans don't like Hold Your Fire and even Vapor Trails, but I like those albums. I mean, Hold Your Fire definitely sounds very 80s. Some people might say that some of the songs haven't really aged well or maybe sound a bit dated, but I still like the album and I think it still sounds great today, personally. But Rush, definitely a band I wanted to include it here, and they're probably one of my favorite bands. But the next band I want to talk about is Faith No More, and this is another personal favorite band of mine. Kind of underrated, and I know many of my viewers probably have never heard of this band. And guys, please do yourself a favor and check them out. If you're more of a metalhead type of individual, I'd suggest checking out their album The Real Thing. They do have a cover of Black Sabbath's War Pigs. Definitely check that cover out. Even check out other songs on that album like Epic or Falling to Pieces or Surprise You're Dead, and of course many other songs. But yeah, Faith No More, definitely a great band, and Angel Dust is one of my favorite albums of all time. Now, some fans don't like the debut, but I like the debut. It's kind of a fun album to listen to. Now, it is one of their weakest albums, but I do like it. And then some fans don't like Album of the Year, but I like that album. I mean, around that time, you can tell their hearts weren't really into it, especially with maybe certain songs, but I still like that album. I think Some people, I don't know, maybe a bit too harsh on it, but I don't know. Some of my favorites on the album are like Ashes to Ashes, Strip Search, Collision, and of course many other songs. But the next band I want to talk about is As I Lay Dying, another more consistent band in the metalcore genre. They definitely stick to their own sound. They don't really stray too much from their roots, kind of like with Killswitch Engage. But yeah, I still think they sound great, and I think Shaped by Fire is one of their best albums. But yeah, definitely a great band, and one of my personal favorites from the metalcore genre. The last band, Seven Dust. Now, with this band, it's clear that certain albums are definitely stronger than others. I mean, albums like, I can't remember if it's Chapter 7 or 8. I think it's 7, or no, I think it's 8. I could be wrong, but that album and Kill the Flaw, I think, are one of their weaker, or some of their weaker albums, but even those albums I still think are decent. But I think their latest album, All I See Is War, and I know that they're coming out with a new album called Blood and Stone, and I'm stoked for that one, but as of what's their latest album, of course, All I See Is War, I think it's one of their best albums. But yeah, definitely looking forward to what we'll hear with this new album. I heard they're returning closer to their roots, or doing an album that's kind of similar to like Animosity or Season, so I'm definitely looking forward to hearing that album when it comes out in October, if I got the month right. But anyways, those are those bands that I want to mention. Those are the 10 bands. Let me know your thoughts. Do you agree or disagree with some of the bands? Are there more bands that you would point out? And of course, all that good stuff. But anyways, thanks for watching. Please leave a comment and a like, subscribe. Have a nice day, and take care.